Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Parasols Petticoats LLC, let me say what a pleasure and honor it is to be back with you again. We have a wonderful show for you today with characters from the Victorian and Edwardian eras, leading to our cast of characters from the unsinkable Titanic, the ship of dreams. So without further ado, let's begin our journey with the Victorian and Edwardian eras. First out today, we have Miss Sandy. She's showing her very pretty 1880s two-piece bodice and skirt ensemble. This is a perfect dress for an afternoon reception at a friend's house. Made up in matte satin, the gently fitted bodice has a lovely round neckline and features generously gathered ribbon and lace-trimmed over and under sleeves. A row of buttons leads to the hem divided into 2 points at the bottom. The generously gathered skirt has a ruffled flounce at the bottom. Sandy has chosen not to wear her bustle today, but the skirt can be bustled up with ties or be left down to form a slight train. Sandy accessorizes her outfit with long white gloves and a pretty fascinator in her hair. Thank you, Miss Sandy. Our next model is Miss Irene. Miss Irene is on her way to an intimate dinner with a handsome gentleman. She is wearing a sophisticated Edwardian evening suit popular in the early 1900s when ladies abandoned bustles for a more tailored look. Her black 7-gort skirt is made of mid-weight gabardine gathered at the waist and draping softly to the floor. The shimmer of her emerald and black tapestry jacket with fancy lace at the sleeves transforms a plain skirt into an elegant outfit. Irene's collar carries over from the Victorian 1890s. Heavy lace is gathered over delicately embroidered sheer mesh and drips over the jacket for a full 5 inches. The collar is embellished with a medallion of black sequins and hanging jet beads. Her extravagant hat is adorned with silk and velvet ribbon, scalloped lace, velvet leaves, satin flowers, and a combination of pheasant, peacock, and goose feathers. A lovely jet and pearl hat pin serves as the finishing touch. Irene is wearing large jet teardrop earrings trimmed in carved bronze, long black fingerless lace gloves, and lace-up black Victorian boots. Thank you, Miss Irene. And now we present Randy, depicting adventurer, scholar, clergyman, founder, and headmaster of the Gorton School for Boys, Endicott Peabody, or Cotty to his intimates and close friends. Mr. Peabody is dressed as was the custom of the time in the dark hues favored by gentlemen of business, politics, and the clergy. He wears a black morning coat and double-breasted vest or waistcoat with matching trousers, all reflecting his English upbringing and the New England fashion of 1880s and 90s. His watch fob, a small cross, identifies his status and position. He carries his ever-present Bible, and no gentleman of the era would be without a hat. Here, a Homburg with a gutter crease and pencil roll brim, sober and serious. His lace-up boots add extra ankle support while standing to offer lectures or sermons. The spotless white dress shirt sports a clerical collar earned in 1884 upon graduation from the Episcopal Theological School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He received his degree after his return from Tombstone, Arizona, where his congregation funded and built St. Paul's Episcopal Church. This small adobe church still holds services. Thank you, Randy. And next we have Mayor Dusty Calhoun and his wife, Emily. They are just returning from a train trip to Chicago to visit family. We all know trains are not plagued by robbers anymore, but there is still that chance. Hence, Dusty is wearing his tall boots with his pants tucked in, always ready for action. Dusty is not wearing his finest, but is still sporting a vest, braces, frock coat, and top hat. You'll also notice he's toting a carpet bag containing his matched pair of .45 long Colts. Just in case of robbers, he is always prepared. Emily has also dressed comfortably for the trip. She's wearing her latest traveling ensemble, and her skirt has ruching at the hem, puffing at the knees, and a fishtail in the back. Her overskirt is a smaller one for traveling that boasts revers in the front. Rather than wearing a bustle, her gown has a Van Dyke, which makes traveling easier. Emily is also sporting a matching slant top hat. Welcome back from your travels, Emily and Dusty. And now we welcome Miss Mary, who is out and about this afternoon for a meeting of the Shakespeare Club with her lady friends. She is wearing an afternoon ensemble of royal purple satin with white lace at the sleeves and on the skirt. She wears a lace underblouse with a high collar, and her long white gloves shield her arms from the midday sun. She also carries a parasol to assist with shade if needed. Mary's hat is of white straw with accents of royal purple to match her dress. Silk lilacs gather at the back of the turned-up brim of the hat. She is carrying a reticule in shades of lavender and mauve, and she is wearing a necklace that has been in her mother's family for generations. Thank you, Miss Mary. And now we have Miss Luzanne. Luzanne is wearing a beautiful two-piece 1864 Civil War ball gown. The beautiful top features a gathered neckline, short puffy sleeves, and comes to a point in the front. Beading, black lace, and black gimp braiding are used to add lovely accents throughout. The skirt is made out of 5 yards of peridot silk that is pleated and fitted into a waistband. It is adorned with yards and yards of hand-sewn black lace. She is also wearing her period-correct underpinnings, a corset, pantaloons, and chemise. Miss Luzanne accessorizes her outfit with delicate black lace gloves, a lovely black feather fan, pretty feather and ribbon fascinator, and a black reticule. For her jewelry, she has chosen beautiful peridot earrings and a necklace. Miss Luzanne is quite the talented seamstress as she made this entire outfit herself. Thank you, Miss Luzanne. Next, we have Ralph. Ralph is wearing standard daytime attire for a prosperous businessman. While men's suits in small towns or among younger men would have looked more like our modern business suit, gentlemen of means or in cities would still be seen in a dark frock coat, such as his, paired with complementary gray, striped, or matching black trousers. The frock coat developed from the fitted waist long jackets of the 1840s and 50s and would remain acceptable urban gentlemen's attire until World War I. While gentlemen never removed their coats in public, if Ralph were to do so, you would see more of his dark gray figured silk waistcoat and white shirt. Because they were rarely seen, men's shirts were more loosely fitting in the Victorian and Edwardian ages than they are now. Ralph also wears a rich blue silk ascot tie with a gold pin. One item of his attire that would be removed regularly is his top hat, which would be raised to passing acquaintances or ladies and always removed indoors. Ralph's top hat is of a gray wool, and of course he has a pocket watch and chain. It looks like Ralph might be late for an appointment. Might it be with a lady? Perhaps nothing that romantic. Oh well. Thank you, Ralph. Next, we have Jean and Tom showing off what a bride and groom might have chosen for the latter half of the 1800s. It was quite common back then for brides that were fairly well-to-do to have a dress made for their wedding that they would also be able to wear for other events. Very few ladies were wealthy enough to afford having a fancy wedding dress made just for one special day. You will notice that her cape is made from the identical fabric used in the dress with just a single clasp at the neckline. This is an 1888 cream brocade damask overskirt and jacket with a royal blue crepe back satin underskirt. She is wearing a corset and prominent bustle, which was the fashion for that era. Under the back of her skirt, she has button tie-ups so that she will be able to dance after the wedding by bringing up the train of her skirt. You will notice that her hat is constructed out of the same fabrics and has cream ostrich feathers on top and small feathers in front dyed to match the satin. Jean is wearing simple family heirloom earrings. A coordinating reticule finishes off her ensemble. Tom's vest and tie also utilize the same fabrics, so they definitely make a handsome couple. Jean and Tom actually decided to have these outfits made for their own wedding and had their wedding party dressed in 1880s garb also. Thank you both. And now, before we bring out our next group, we have a musical interlude with Miss Laura. She will be singing Shine On Harvest Moon. This song is a popular early 1900 song credited to the married vaudeville team Nora Bayes and Jack Norworth. It was one of a series of moon-related Tin Pan Alley songs of the era. The song was debuted by Bayes and Norworth in the Ziegfeld Follies of 1908 to great acclaim. It became a pop standard and continues to be performed and recorded in the 21st century. Miss Laura, take it away.
The night was mighty dark, so you could barely see, for the moon refused to shine. A couple sitting underneath the willow tree, all alone, they pine. Little maid was kind of afraid of darkness, so she says, I guess I'll go. Boy began to sigh, looked up at the sky, told the moon his little tale of woe. Oh, shine on, August moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since April, January, June, or July. Snow time ain't no time to stay outside and smooth. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I had no lovin' since April, January, June, or July. Snow time, ain't no time to stay outside and smooth. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my guy.
Thank you, Miss Laura. Next, we have Miss Ashley. Beginning in 1910, high fashion was influenced by the exotic costumes of the Ballet Russe. You may remember Lady Sybil's Harlem pants from Downton Abbey. Ashley is very avant-garde in her Asian-inspired costume, which is from the same trend. The exotic Asian fad did not last long, but had quite an impact on designers such as Paul Poiret. Her afternoon ensemble features a jacket in floral lace trimmed in black damask satin, accented with black tassels at the front points. The sleeves are a sheer Asian print in coral and mauve entwined with gold and silver threads. She wears a pearl and coral brooch set in gold. The black crepe dress has satin cherry blossoms woven into the material to continue the Asian theme. And then there is the very impressive hat, always an important element of a lady's outfit. The Asian influence continues with a cone-shaped base made of heavy straw covered on top with black dotted netting. Near the top of the hat is a series of tassels and beads reminiscent of an ancient Chinese look, while a coral ostrich feather and sienna velvet bow bring the hat into current fashion. Accessorizing the outfit are long drop earrings and a gold chain necklace with a flat pearl pendant. Miss Ashley's walking umbrella is made of black silk, and she, of course, wears the gloves appropriate for outdoors. Miss Ashley will make quite a stir in this extremely fashion-forward outfit, but she's looking forward to her friends' admiring comments when she meets them for afternoon tea. Thank you, Miss Ashley. And now please welcome Titanic passenger Violet Jessup. Violet was born in October 1887 in Argentina and was the first of 9 children to Irish immigrants. When she was 16, her father died and the family moved to England, where she attended a convent school while her mother worked as a stewardess. When she was 21, her mother died and she followed in her footsteps and applied to be a stewardess. It is said that she had to dress down to make herself look less attractive in order to be hired. Lady Duff Gordon, another Titanic passenger, once described Violet as a merry Irish stewardess with her soft Irish brogue and tales of timid ladies she had attended during hundreds of Atlantic crossings. On April 10, 1912, she boarded the Titanic at the age of 24. Violet was one of 17 stewardesses on board that voyage. They were expected to do all the cleaning for the cabins, bring any room service meals requested, arrange flowers, put away clothes, do general errands, and look after those with seasickness. Violet's outfit is inspired by the famous picture of Violet taken on the Britannic. She is wearing all the correct underpinnings of the day: split drawers, cotton chemise, and a 1912-style twill corset. Her outer garments consist of a gray cotton shirt with a detachable cotton collar, white cotton sleeve covers to protect the shirt sleeves, heavy cotton gray skirt, white cotton apron, and of course, a stiffly starched white nurse's cap. Thank you, Ms. Jessup. After 1910, the post-Edwardian era was referred to as the La Belle Epoque, which ended in 1914. The images of fashion in this era showed a slip-in dress without zippers or lacings, beautiful fabrics with touches of lace and embroidery, and slim design with long, soft, feminine, narrow skirts with sleek or slightly raised waistlines. Hairstyles featured hair piled high on the head and enormous hats. Today, to keep the sun off of her delicate skin and to shade her eyes, Miss Debbie has worn her favorite hat with a little bird, feathers, and flowers. Her dress is light blue with a beautiful, intricate, embroidered lace design overlay. It has a square neckline at the front and the back. The lace of the slightly puffed sleeves matches that on the hem of her dress. Her shoes complement her outfit with pearl button fasteners. Miss Debbie wears short, white lace gloves and carries a light blue reticule with a pretty white lace applique. And as she does love embellishments, more pearls, she has been invited to an outdoor musical afternoon tea at a friend's home. Miss Debbie is extremely excited as she will hear the famous American mandolin soloist Samuel Siegel. He performed both in vaudeville as well as concert halls. As a lady of many talents, Miss Debbie has at times been known to play the more modern guitar. Thank you, Miss Debbie. Now here is suffragist Elsie Bowerman. Born in 1889, Elsie grew up with a strong sense of justice, inspired by her mother, who was also a passionate advocate for women's rights. By her early 20s, Elsie was actively involved in the suffrage movement, joining marches and organizing rallies. Here she is, basket in hand, ready to hand out flyers promoting the importance of the suffrage of women movement as she makes her way back home to pack for her upcoming voyage on the Titanic. Elsie is wearing a light tea party frock, also known as a lingerie dress, of cotton broderie anglaise. This original vintage dress from the collection of member Jane Boyd has several layers of fabric gathered into a shirtwaist, embellished with more broderie anglaise on the lower part of the bodice and sleeves. She enhances the dress with a special ribbon belt composed of the colors which represent the values of the suffrage movement. The white color of dress and ribbon signify purity in private and public life. Purple represents loyalty, dignity, and freedom, and green represents hope and is the emblem of spring. Elsie completes her ensemble with her Votes for Women sash, adorned with her WSPU membership pin and a lovely Emmeline Pankhurst brooch, white gloves, stockings, lace-up short boots, and a magnificent Edwardian hat. This hat also embodies the color scheme of the British suffragette movement.
Votes for women. What is sauce for the gander is sauce for the goose. And deeds, not words. And do not appeal, do not beg, do not grovel. Take courage, join hands, stand up, fight for us. Thank you.
Our next model is Miss Eileen. Eileen is wearing an elegant, late Edwardian, Titanic-era evening gown. Notice the difference in the styling from the Victorian-era gowns. Women's silhouettes shifted from the voluptuous S-bend to a straighter, lighter line that seemed more natural and modern to contemporaries. Beginning in 1908, the new look featured a more narrow bodice, slim skirt, and raised waistline. Miss Eileen's dress is a lovely autumn-colored gown trimmed in black lace and beading. The back of the gown is a little longer and gently brushes the ground. Eileen accessorizes her outfit with a black beaded evening purse, long black evening gloves, and jewelry. Another one of our talented seamstresses, Miss Eileen, made the dress she is wearing. Thank you, Miss Eileen. And now we have Mr. Arthur John Priest from Southampton, a fireman or stoker on board the Titanic. He was part of the Black Gang that would work in the boiler rooms and coal supplies, keeping the 29 huge boilers made of several furnaces each for a total of 162 furnaces running on the Titanic around the clock. Mr. Priest is presently dressed more like a typical steerage or third-class passenger in heavier, more durable clothes. A chore jacket was a simple brown canvas vest, a white shirt, heavy canvas trousers, and a flat cap. However, while working, firemen or stokers and trimmers would wear light trousers, possibly even lighter shorts, and thin or no shirts. Working constantly around coal and the heat of the boilers, firemen would usually be covered in coal dust and sweat, leading to them being called the Black Gang. They would also have separate sleeping areas, even away from the general steerage areas. There were over 163 firemen, stokers on board, and only 45 survived. Many of them did their best to keep the boilers running as the ship sank. This would keep the pumps working and hopefully slow down the rate that the ship sank. It also kept the lights on, helping those trying to escape into the lifeboats. Several of the firemen were dressed in only their undershirts and shorts when they got into the lifeboats in freezing weather. Thank you, Mr. Priest. And now we have Titanic passenger and ladies' maid Laura Mabel Francatelli. Laura Francatelli, who preferred to be known as Mabel, was born in London, England on April 21st, 1880. Her father was the great-nephew of the famous chef Charles, who was chef to Queen Victoria and later her son Edward, Prince of Wales. She started working for Lady Duff Gordon, a prominent fashion designer, in 1909 as her secretary and assistant. In 1912, at age 31, she boarded the Titanic with the Duff Gordons as a first-class passenger and stayed in cabin E36. Her outfit is inspired by an apron worn on board the Titanic by Miss Francatelli, which is now owned by the National Museums in Liverpool. Her period-correct outfit consists of a white and blue cotton petticoat, black cotton shirtwaist, and a detachable cotton collar, detachable cotton wrist cuffs, black linen ankle-length skirt, white cotton apron with a V-shaped bib. The sides and neckline are decorated with inserted lace. The shoulder sleeve caps are made of a cotton eyelet. Lastly, she is wearing her white cotton maid's cap. Thank you, Miss Mabel. And now we have another Titanic passenger, Mrs. J.J. Brown. Mrs. Brown is in first class. She wears a dinner dress for her appearance among the other passengers during the evening. The gown is made in 2 layers, as was common at the time. The underdress is violet silk and quite simple with short sleeves. The overdress is in dark blue sequined netting in a vine pattern. It has a central panel in dark blue silk velvet, beaded trim, and other beaded ornaments. The combination of violet and dark blue was a popular one in 1912. Mrs. Brown wears blue satin evening slippers with low heels to navigate the Titanic decks, and her hair is dressed with a vine ornament in blue crystals.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. MC, and I do appreciate the description.
Certainly.
But I need to speak with my other passengers. My name is Mrs. J.J. Brown, Margaret, Maggie to my friends. I live in Denver, Colorado, or at least I used to. My husband invented a new way of mining for gold some years ago, and, well, we've done quite well from that. Unfortunately, JJ did not approve of some of the activities I became involved in. Important causes like child welfare and women's suffrage. I raised a lot of money at events in our big house in Denver. But JJ wanted a quieter sort of wife. So we sadly separated a few years ago, and I've been in Europe. I'm only on this ship because I heard that my little grandson is sick, and so I'm rushing home to be with him. Luckily, my friends, the John Jacob Astors, are also on board, and I do agree that this is a beautiful ship. But everyone is rushing up and down, talking about it as unsinkable. Can you believe that? I think that's tempting fate, and it worries me a bit. So I need to ask all of you, do you know where they store the life jackets on board? Do you know where you would go and what you would do if there was an emergency? I didn't think so. Why they don't have drills and practices for that sort of thing on cruises, I do not know. Maybe someday. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy my time on the Titanic, but I'll be watchful too. I'm an organizing sort of person, and I'm very good at getting things done if I don't say so myself. So if something does happen and we need to leave the ship, you're going to find me up on deck, trying to get as many people quickly and safely off this ship as is possible. I have too much to do to sink with a ship, no matter how beautiful it is. I thank you, and good evening to you.
Titanic, or pre-war era, featured a simplified columnar silhouette with a new long corset design which gave the body an upright posture. The overall silhouette is somewhat reminiscent of 1810 with columnar skirts, hair piled on the head in wavy curls, and neoclassical details. Laura's suit consists of a long-sleeved bodice and comfortable long skirt in orchid. The overdress features a long tunic skirt and self-covered buttons finish the cuff and fasten the front. A crisp taffeta chemisette with buttons and a stand-up collar perfectly sets off the deep neckline at the front. Laura accessorizes her outfit with a pretty wide brim ivory hat trimmed with ribbon, roses, green leaves, and feathers. Ivory gloves, pearl drop earrings, black stockings, and shoes complement her look perfectly. Thank you, Miss Laura. And now we present Mrs. Catherine Kitty Hershey. Catherine was born in 1871 in Jamestown, New York, to Irish immigrant parents. Her family was not wealthy, and she dropped out of her senior year of high school to work as a salesgirl. In 1897, she met Milton Hershey, yes, of the Hershey chocolate fame, and they married in 1898. While wintering in France in 1912, an urgent issue came up at the chocolate factory, and Mr. Hershey was needed back home. He boarded the America, which had sent an ice warning to the Titanic at 11:45 a.m. of April 14th. Unfortunately, the message was never passed on to the bridge of the Titanic. Catherine decided to stay a bit longer with her friends in France. You could say that they were literally saved by chocolate because they were originally scheduled to return to the States on the Titanic. Catherine's outfit is inspired by a design which appeared in a January 1912 French fashion magazine for a dressy daytime visiting outfit or town ensemble. She is wearing all of the period correct underpinnings of the day, white cotton split drawers, cotton chemise, 1912 cotton twill corset, and a white cotton combination slip. Her floor-length skirt is blue linen with a columnar front and a high empire waist, with a rounded tunic-style black velvet trim lined with black braid. The jacket is a blue linen semi-fitted cutaway-style jacket. The lined jacket is above waist length in the front with a long tailcoat back and long sleeves with black velvet cuffs. Catherine accessorizes her outfit with a black satin gloves with pear button accents at the wrist and a lovely ostrich-decorated large brim hat. Thank you, Mrs. Hershey. And next we have Lucille Carter, a Titanic first-class passenger and an American socialite and wife of William Ernest Carter. Lucille's father was William Stewart Polk, a partner in a very successful insurance brokerage firm, and he was fairly wealthy. Many of the newspaper reports noted that he was a descendant of President James K. Polk. On January 29, 1896, she married William Ernst Carter. He was the son of William Thornton Carter, who had made a vast fortune in the coal industry and was said to be one of the most extensive and successful coal operators in America. Carter's husband inherited much of this fortune, and the couple led a very privileged lifestyle. Lucille's floor-length evening gown features cutout shoulders. The simple yet eye-catching beads and sequins on the dress are perfect for dinner on the Titanic. The dress features layers of tulle with luminous embellishments over the black silky underdress. She is wearing opera-length black gloves. Her crystal bracelet features stunning stones and baguettes that flash and dance on her gloved wrist. An Art Deco necklace glistens with equal opulence at her throat, accented by her lovely drop crystal ear screws. Her hair is adorned in typical fashion of the day with a feathered and beaded fascinator, lying on a bed of tulle and set neatly just above her temple. On her feet are delicate satin ballet slippers adorned with crystals. Thank you, Lucille. Next, please meet our next Titanic passenger, who some might call a robber baron of the Gilded Age. We are fortunate to have him with us today to give us a glimpse into his life in the early 20th century.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Jacob Astor. My family and friends know me as Jack. I am sure you're quite familiar with the Astor name. My great-grandfather, John Jacob, started the family business in the fur trade and in real estate. I too am in real estate. My Knickerbocker, St. Regis, and Astoria hotels are the finest in New York. But what you may not know is that I am also an inventor with several patents and a science fiction author. I'm proud to say that I served our country as a colonel in the U.S. Volunteer Army in our war with Spain in '98. Now, if you read the New York papers, which I'm sure you all do, you will know that I've recently been married. Well, remarried, that is. And do those papers have it in for me with their scurrilous remarks? I ask you, is it any of their business that I have been divorced less than 2 years, or that my beautiful wife, Madeline, is 29 years younger than me? It's none of their business, I say. To escape these vile attacks, we decided to take an extended honeymoon to Egypt. My valet, my wife's nurse, and her maid, and my dog Kitty have accompanied us. It has been a splendid trip so far, but we find that we will return to New York a bit sooner than planned. My wife is in a delicate condition, and she wishes to have our first child at home. I was fortunate to purchase tickets for our return trip on the newest, most luxurious ship afloat. The first class accommodations, in my estimation, are second to none. No expense was spared in her construction. I predict that this ship will be unmatched by any other for many, many years to come. Now, as you can see, I am dressed for dinner. I have been asked to give a brief description of the proper dress for a gentleman in first-class dining. My wool tailcoat is made by my tailor at Nicholson Brothers. It is an open front design. The buttons are purely decorative. My white vest is made of Marcella cotton and is single-breasted. My shirt is white cotton and it has a stiff front. It is informally known as a boiled shirt. That's because boiling in water, it was the best way to remove the starch and launder the shirt properly. My bow tie is made of silk. These mother-of-pearl cufflinks and shirt studs were a wedding gift from my wife. My trousers are of wool construction and fit a little more closely than my day trousers. My collar is attached to my shirt with studs, and it is nearly impossible to put on without assistance from my valet. And finally, my shoes, black leather shoes, nicely polished, I might add, by my valet. There's the call to first-class dining. If you will please excuse me, I must collect my wife and proceed to the dining room. As you know, a gentleman must never be late. Perhaps I will see some of you tomorrow night, and you can join me in the dining room. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Just a fun fact about his outfit, his coat, his pants, and his shirt are all actual vintage pieces of that era. Who's this rushing in here?
What's going on? Can somebody tell me? Do you know what's going on? Please help. What's going on? I'm really scared.
It looks like it's Miss Debbie, a maid aboard the Titanic. It is midnight and she has just made it up on deck from third class, but something is wrong. Debbie looks frightened. Our intrepid maid left school at age 13 and went into service. She assisted many ladies' maids in the past and was very excited when called to travel with her employers, who are first-class passengers on Titanic, even if she was just in steerage. She was on her way to her cabin still wearing her mop hat, black high-necked blouse, and her black skirt that had been repaired a number of times. Her apron, not so white now, having been tousled in the panic, is of the bib style that was popular in the Edwardian era. No chance for her to grab her coat or shawl because of the crush of people all scrambling to get to the lifeboats. The noise of people screaming and yelling was deafening. Debbie noticed people with no shoes on their feet. At least she has her sturdy boots, which are the most important part of her uniform, as she was always on her feet. Does she make it to safety? We really hope so. Godspeed, Debbie.
All women and children.
The third-class passengers on the Titanic were a very ethnically diverse group. There were several large families that perished, and most of the passengers were young people under the age of 40. Of the 63 Finnish passengers, only 20 survived. Several of them were interviewed by a Finnish newspaper shortly after the tragedy. This is the story of one of them, a 65-year-old woman. She is hastily dressed in her dark skirt, blouse, wool shawl, and the traditional headwear called huivi. Dear lady, please tell us your story.
Hyvää havea. Good day. I am Mrs. Hedvig Turkula. I am from Finland. Yaroslavi in southwest, across the waters from Sweden. I go on a boat down to Southampton, England, and I board this big ship called Titanic. Well, it is lovely. I see many Finnish peoples on the ship with me, and I share room with 5 lovely young Finnish ladies. One of them has even a 2-year-old daughter. Do you know I have 30 grandchildren? Well, one night I wake up, all of a sudden, there is a grinding and a shaking noise. Me and Anna Turia and Sofia Leitonen, we get up, get dressed, and we go up top to see what is causing all this vibrating and shaking. When I get up on deck, I see a group of Finnish ladies huddled together, and I go to them, and they say, "We are waiting for rescue ship." I say, "No, I not want to wait." Lifeboat. They say, "No, we're not scared. Let others go first." So I said, no, wait. So I walk over to man in uniform, and I tug on his jacket, and he says to me, "Madam, go to lifeboat number 15. So I go, and I'm calling to the ladies. I say, come with me. But they do not come. So, excuse me. So I'm on the ship, the little boat. We're rowing, and it is so cold. It is dark, clear night, and there's stars. And we hear this horrible screaming and everything. And we are so sad. We see soon the boat, she sinks below the icy waters. There's no more. And we go to the Carpathia boat after that. We get picked up. And I go up there, and I see Anatolia. I'm so happy for her. She is okay. But I see no one else that I knew. And you know, I left my ticket, my money, my other clothes, and my address even, all on the ship. It has gone down. So the people very nice on that Carpathia ship. But now I'm going to Hibbing, Minnesota. I'm going to live with my 4 sons and 2 daughters on their farms, and I will get to see my grandchildren. I would never forget this experience. But now I go to America. So God bless you all. Kitos, thank you. Thank you.
John Jacob Astor IV. His valet, Victor Roberts, and his beloved Airedale Terrier, Kitty, were among the Titanic's 1,523 passengers that perished in the frigid North Atlantic in the early hours of April 15, 1912. Madeline Astor and her unborn son, along with her maid and nurse, were helped aboard lifeboat number 4 and survived the sinking. John Jacob Astor IV was the wealthiest person on the Titanic, with a fortune estimated at $150 million in 1912, which would be about $3.6 billion today. He was 47 years old. John Jacob Astor IV was portrayed by Alan Freehoff. Mr. Astor, can you please stay up front here? Thank you. Violet Jessup. Violet, along with a few other stewardesses, were ordered by officers to get into lifeboats to show passengers they were safe and to inspire other women to get on board. She was loaded into lifeboat number 16. Violet became widely known as possibly the only person to survive disasters to all 3 sister ships. In 1911, the first of the three sisters, the Olympic, suffered major damage in a collision with the HMS Hawk. In 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg, and in 1916, she was serving as a nurse on the Britannic when it struck a mine and also sank. Surprisingly, in an interview she gave in 1970 with John Graham, she mentions that she doesn't know how to swim. In her later years, she wrote a book, Titanic Survivor, The Memoirs of Violet Jessup Stewardess. In this book, she tells of a in memory of Titanic pin and necklace that the White Star Line gave to the crew members that survived. Among her many mementos of her 42-plus years at sea, she considered these items as some of her most prized possessions. Violet Jessup was portrayed by Betsy Pont. Elsie Bowerman, a young woman with a fierce spirit even before her Titanic adventure, was just 22 years old when she stepped on board the ill-fated ship. Elsie was rescued on lifeboat number 6 and survived the disaster to become one of the first women barristers to be called to the bar in Britain, smashing through the glass ceiling. During World War II, she served with the Women's Royal Voluntary Service, later helping to establish the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. Elsie was portrayed by Carol Finch. Arthur John Priest made it to lifeboat number 15 and survived with frostbitten toes and a minor leg injury. He had quite a history with ships. He was on board the Olympic, Titanic's sister ship, when it collided with the HMS Hawk in 1911. After surviving the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, he was aboard the Britannic when it hit a mine and sank in 1916. He also survived the losses of the Elantra and Donegal ships during World War I. This led to him being called by some the Unsinkable, but he later claimed that he was forced to retire as no one wanted to sail with him anymore. Mr. Priest was portrayed by Phil Wachowski. Laura Mabel Francatelli. Lady Duff Gordon and her assistant, Miss Francatelli, were some of the first to enter lifeboats and were in lifeboat number 1. A letter from Miss Francatelli written to Abraham Solomon, a fellow Titanic survivor 6 months after the sinking, was sold in an online auction for $7,500 in 2015. Her letter describes what happened that night and goes on to say, "We do hope you have now quite recovered from the terrible experience." Another piece of correspondence also describes what happened that fateful night. "We were a long way off when we saw the Titanic go right up at the back and plunge down. There was an awful rumbling when she went. We could hardly talk. We were all in the darkness." In 1913, she married a Swiss-born hotel manager, Maximilian. In 1916, they moved to New York and were sponsored by the Duff Gordons for American citizenship. She became a naturalized U.S. citizen in April 1933. Lady Mabel Francatelli was portrayed by Fran Martinez. Maggie Brown did help organize people into lifeboats during the sinking, manned an oar, and tried to get crew members in her boat to go back for survivors. Once on the Carpathia, she organized a committee of first-class survivors to get supplies for second- and third-class passengers. The sinking didn't slow her down. She helped to organize the International Women's Rights Conference in 1914, and after women's suffrage passed, she ran for the U.S. Senate, but cut off her campaign to serve as director of the American Committee for devastated France instead. She did speak French, along with Russian, German, and Italian. She won the French Legion of Honor for her efforts. After a lifetime of working for others, she died in 1932 at the age of 65. It was only after her death that she became known as the unsinkable Molly Brown. Molly Brown was portrayed by Jill Lyon. Lucille Carter. Lucille, her husband, and their 2 children survived the RMS Titanic disaster. On the night of the sinking, Mr. Carter awakened his wife, advising her to get dressed and head to top. She claimed she never saw him again after that, and she eventually left in lifeboat number 4 with her children. She was said to be one of the heroines of the tragedy, as she, with some of the other socially elite women, assisted in the rowing of one of the lifeboats. Pulling up alongside the Carpathia, Mrs. Carter was shocked to see her husband waiting for her, hanging over the railing. From that moment on, their relationship took a downward spiral. In January 1914, Mrs. Carter filed for divorce. Lucille married again to the heir to an iron and steel fortune. She spent her final days living in her country house, Almondbury, and passed away on October 24, 1934, at age 59. Lucille was portrayed by Nancy Zell. Mrs. Chirkala. Mrs. Chirkala did indeed arrive in Hibbing, Minnesota on April 12, 1912, reportedly in excellent health except for a cold. She traveled with her sons to their homes in Lavelle, Minnesota. Hedwig spent her final days with her family in Minnesota. She never learned to speak English. Hedwig succumbed to influenza and died in Lavelle on April 3, 1922, at age 74. Mrs. Chirkala was portrayed by Jane Boyd. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program for this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed the journey through the Victorian, Edwardian, and Titanic eras. Please give a big round of applause for all of our models and presenters today. And now we typically do a question and answer session, so if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask, please feel free. We'd be happy to answer those for you at this time. You know everything. We've told you. Just go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Well, let me say this. Let me say this, Tom. Let me say this. Raise your hand if you made your own outfit, or you made one for somebody else. Okay. So we had somebody took a week, but I'm sure it takes longer. Jill, how long does yours take? 6 months. Yeah. Anything else? Any other? Yes, ma'am. Over there. Most of our performances are for private groups like yourselves. So we do church groups. We did an English tea room last year. Now that one was open to the public. Unfortunately, most of our shows are not open to the public. As I say, they're done for private organizations like this. So
PEO groups, DAR chapters. We went to the Arizona Pioneer Home in Prescott 2 years in a row. So it's wherever we get some interest. Have costumes, we'll travel.
our next show is going to be at the Sun City Church in Sun City in October, beginning of October. And we do parades also. So if you attend, we do a parade in Cave Creek. We've done Wickenburg. What's the other one? Anthem. Yes, thank you. The Anthem Veterans Parade. Cave Creek. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anything else? Yes. Prescott.
There are a few of us from Fountain Hills,
Yeah.
North Phoenix.
Yes, ma'am. It's about 8 years. And members come and go. We have some of our founding members that are still here with us. But members come and go. And we're always looking for members. So you don't have to have the outfits to start out. Trust me, we all have multiple outfits that we will lend out to people to be in. We're looking for gentlemen and ladies. So if you have some spare time and you like to dress up and look pretty and handsome and dapper, we'd love to have you. Anything else? Okay. If there are no other questions, then some of our people will be out in the lobby area there. If you want to take pictures or have anything you'd like to talk to them about, please feel free. Thank you so much for having us this afternoon. We enjoyed it.